I'm on a goal to make one of the UK's loudest B58s with a stock turbo. So let's be honest, the B58 is a good engine, but from factory, BMW made that engine very quiet. Especially with the GPF and OPF models, that engine is muted. And then you've got a few creators who have made incredible changes to the B58. Top mount turbos, single turbo conversions, Japcan style exhausts, making the engine sound phenomenal. My goal is to temporarily make the loudest B58 in the UK on a stock turbo. Now that's the big catch. Most of these people are making a very loud B58 with big turbo upgrades. I'm trying to do it on the stock turbo setup. Just a little bit of context about why I'm actually doing this. I don't actually like ridiculously loud cars. I used to have an N55 with a full custom exhaust. That thing screamed. Just listen to it. But with this car, with the circumstances it's under right now, I'm just trying to see how loud I can actually make it. And then I'm going to go after the most perfect B58 exhaust tone possible. Because in the car community, a loud car doesn't actually get you that much respect. Having a tone of a car that sounds pretty good, that does. So before I go into too much detail about the exhaust system that's on this car and what's been done, let's get a few sound clips so that we can hear it first. That's quite an aggressive sound already. And if you've been following the channel or you're subscribed, for example, you'll know that this car was pretty loud before, but there's a modification I did in the last couple of days which has made this car even louder. Let's give it a few revs now. Now we all know that with the stock turbo, you're not going to be able to make the engine as loud as it could be, but you can make it pretty loud. And the modification I did on this car a couple of days ago has now made this car even louder than I ever thought it could be. And with it being louder, the performance this modification has added has surprised me. I used to run, and I say I used to because it's not on there anymore, a 200cc Sports Cat. And the reason I used to run this was because it came with the car and I didn't want to really upgrade it or change it. And I will be completely honest with you guys, the car was crazy fast enough with that 200cc Sports Cat. However, B58 Bible, they sent me out a downpipe. Now this isn't any downpipe, it's a 5-inch downpipe. Now, you'll hear it on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, etc., even the forums, of people saying, get a downpipe and tune on your B58. I didn't realise just how much of a difference there was in a downpipe and a Sports Cat. One of the main reasons a Sports Cat is beneficial in my case is I do a lot of motorway driving, and I hate having a droney car. I used to have one, and I decided with this one, it wasn't going to be the case. However, to create the UK's loudest stock turbo B58, we have to include a downpipe. And I thought, why not go for the biggest downpipe that you can fit on the B58, the 5-inch one. Now the downpipe itself is actually down here on the turbo side. It's pretty hard to see, but this one's a 5-inch and it's heat shielded and it looks absolutely incredible. So I think it's time now we actually cut to the parts of me fitting this downpipe. It was pretty easy to do, a lot easier than my previous N55. Just have a look at how big this downpipe is. It fitted completely over my forearm, which is absolutely crazy. Finally, the downpipe has arrived. Let me show you guys this thing because honestly, compared to the Sports Cat, this 5-inch downpipe is unreal. Just take a look at this thing. We've got the B58 Bible here, logo on the side, and the whole downpipe itself is heat shielded, which will also stop a lot of the excess heat getting around the engine bay. Let me show you guys just how big this thing is. And the way I'm going to show you this, you guys are probably going to laugh. Can you fit your whole arm inside a downpipe? Look at this, I feel like a robot. I've got a whole downpipe covering my hand. This is unbelievable. I mean, I don't think there are many downpipes that you can fit your entire forehand in. So now I think it's time. Let's get this thing fitted and let's see if this makes my B58 even louder, because we want to become the UK's loudest stock turbo B58. Coming from an M235i with the N55, the biggest downpipe in diameter I could get for that was 3 inches, which is about that big. This thing is 5. So I've skipped all the boring part, removing the Sports Cat. Let me show you guys the difference in diameter with these two. Here we have my 200cc custom Sports Cat, and I thought this was quite large in diameter. Look how much bigger the actual downpipe itself is. All the way down here is thicker compared to here, which it goes really thin. This is obviously 5 inches, so that's got to be 4 inches because that's way bigger. So the M240i is going to be way louder. More restrictions the B58 comes with are the resonators. Unlike the N55 with my M235i, this M240i comes with 2 resonators, so you have to get a dual resonator delete. And unfortunately, both those resonators had to go in the goal of making the UK's loudest. However, the back box, that's kind of my secret sauce. I'm not really going to expose what's been done there. However, we did have to do something with that because the back box on these cars are huge and they're super restrictive. So I think now let's actually get some sound clips and hear what this car actually sounds like. And there we go. That's B58 Bible's 5-inch downpipe fitted. If you want to get one of them, the link will be in the description. Overall though, this car sounds pretty good, but I do think it could be louder. And I think one of the reasons it's not as loud as it could be is if we come to the back of the car. You'll notice at the back, we have the twin tailpipes. Now the reason I don't think this thing is as loud as it could be is because the exhaust note is split between two tailpipes. Now I've seen M140i's and 240i's with a single style exit exhaust on the rear, and I do think this completely changes the tone. I think it makes it more of a Japanese tone, if that makes sense. But I don't really want to make my German car sound like a Japanese car. I want to go for an exhaust tone that is unique to the B58 without upgrading that turbo. So we'll see what I can do about that. It's definitely not the loudest at the moment. It is up there, and in person, it is way louder than on camera. I know when I'm editing this video, I'm going to be disappointed with how loud the clips are, because in person, it actually hurts your ears, compared to on video, it's not as good. I think the next best thing though is to actually get in this car and drive it and see what it's like to drive in person, because I will warn you guys, it does drone a little bit, but the performance, my days. I want to get this thing on the dyno again because the performance is way better than it was before. So what is this thing like to drive then? Well, it's pretty quick and it's a lot of fun and it's a lot louder. The B58 definitely has a lot more grunt now. It seems like it's more aggressive and less kind of like muffled compared to what it was with the Sports Cat. The sound is a lot more raw. I'm not the biggest fan because I feel like the B58 can be quite raspy. However, it's actually not as bad as I thought it was going to be. And the downshifts and the brap, they're incredible. And the famous B58 brap, that's something which I'll never get bored of. This car is crazy. So much fun. But of course, you've got to have the burbles. I'm not the biggest fan of burbles, but it would make sense to hear them with the downpipe, so listen to this. They're kind of addictive, and they're a lot louder than before. Before they were quite muffled, now it's something else. I think we're going to leave that there for the driving because my neighbours might get a little bit annoyed and that wouldn't be good. And there we have it. That's going to be a wrap for today's video. I don't think I've got the UK's loudest stock turbo B58 just yet. I think there's still some fabrication and custom exhaust work to be done on the exhaust side, but we will get there at some point. And for all of you viewers who may be a little bit mature than me, don't worry. The car will be going back to somewhat of a less obnoxious sound soon. I just wanted to chase this little goal and see what I could do exhaust-wise while the downpipe was on. But eventually, we will be installing the 200cc Sports Cat back on the car and doing something else with the exhaust tone, because obviously, why not? But at some point, we will be fitting the 200cc Sports Cat back on the car and obviously putting that back on so that we don't have that horrendous droning on the highway or motorway. But for now, the car sounds pretty good and I'm pretty impressed with it, and I'm loving the extra power that is available with this downpipe. If you guys enjoyed the video though, you can do all the boring stuff like subscribe and hit the like button. Apart from that, I'll catch you in the next video. Thank you very much for watching. Bye for now.